Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wine.com Experiences. I'm Gwendolyn Osborne. So glad you have joined us today to taste some wines from Spain with José Andrés and some of his favorite winemakers. If you purchase the wines or have the wines ahead of time from Wine.com, fantastic. Please go ahead, get those open, pour them each into a glass to get ready. We're going to be tasting all three wines today. If you don't have the wines, also totally fine. This video, like all of our others, will live on the Wine.com YouTube channel, so you can always revisit when you have them to taste, because you're going to want to. They're all delicious. The three wines we are tasting in order are the Raventós y Blanc de Nez Rosé, the Bodega Raul Perez Ultra Saint-Jacques, and the Álvaro Palacios Camins del Priorat. I might have mispronounced one of those, but I'm sure our winemakers will correct me if I did. These wines are great. They're such great representations of Spain and what Spain is doing so well. This country obviously has been making wine for quite some time, but it's so wonderfully diverse in its land, its weather, the soils. There's just a host of indigenous grape varieties that are so well suited uniquely for each spot of land throughout this country. There's so much tradition here in Spain also, but I think what's so unique is it's also very well known for innovation. So it's got this wonderful mix of old and new that kind of keeps it constantly evolving and being exciting for new wines, if you will, as well as really appreciating the traditional wines it's always made. This country, Spain, has the more land under vine than any other country, and yet it is only third in wine production, which I think really underscores its focus on quality over quantity. Also, it is a leader in organic viticulture, which I know our guests are going to get into a little bit more today. Speaking of which, our guests, I have some great guests here to talk about these wines with me. We have Álvaro Palacios, who's winemaker at Álvaro Palacios. Pepe Raventós, winemaker from Raventós y Blanc, and of course, chef, restaurateur, and humanitarian José Andrés. Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. Any pronunciation corrections you need to make so far?
It's been amazing. I only will say that you welcome us with a tango from Argentina, which I love. But come on, I mean, where is the flamenco? Where is the Spanish music? Come on, Gwendolyn.
It's a little bit small for tango.
The accent is perfect.
Next time, we are close to Halloween. I feel like next time I will pull that off. I might be
Thank
able
you for having us.
Yes, we're thrilled to taste these wines, talk a little bit about Spain and all the deliciousness coming out of there, both in food and wine. So, Jose, I am going to start with you first. Again, thank you so much for being here today. Glad you're with us. You're coming in with a perspective as a chef rather than a winemaker, but as someone who creates this incredible food that is kind of meant to really pair well with wine. When you're making food and thinking about that connection, what stands out for you about Spanish wine?
Well, listen, I've been very, very lucky all my life, especially since I arrived in America, because wines, for me, wines of Spain was a way to express myself, use to open a window into the country I came from, without having to use any words, and to explain to people in America all around, in the different places I live, what the country I come from looks like, tastes like, smells like. One of my first visits as a young boy with the school was to the beautiful region of Penedès, a region that makes great cava, the Spanish Catalan sparkling wine, great whites and reds all around. But we went to visit a winery, a bodega of cava making. And just for me as a young boy, I was very impacted, obviously, to visit the vineyards, to visit the winery, to learn all the years, centuries of expertise that it took. And really, when I came to America, I began connecting those childhood memories because I went very young to visit my first winery. And believe me, I remember because I sipped the wine and it changed my life in that way. So for me, wine is an amazing way to open a window into a country. Definitely it's a way to open a window into the different parts of Spain that produce wine, which are many and plenty. And to this day, I can say that sometimes I'm a cook that loves to drink, but it's very clear for me when I cook and I eat, I cook and I eat. And when I open a bottle of wine, I open a bottle of wine. Today, I'm so happy that we are opening 3 bottles of wine of people that I'm sure they are some of the best winemakers. But above all, they are people that love their craft, love their land, and more important to me, they are my friends.
Good. And we are so excited to have them. I one more question for you, because you mentioned that when you cook and you want to eat, you eat, open a bottle, you want to drink. Do you ever, when you cook, do you cook and then try to find the bottle of wine to pair with what you've made? Or do you ever cook to match any specific bottle?
All right. So people, we are in a political environment and I'm going to be politically incorrect.
Perfect.
All these things of trying to pair the food we cook with the wines we drink, baloney. When I cook, I cook. When they make the winemakers make wine, they make the best wine they can. Sometimes, yes, we can be obviously matching. I am not a big friend of long tasting menus trying to match every single wine with every single dish. It doesn't work. It's impossible. It's not logical. That's why I always say, are we drinking or are we eating today? Because sometimes I don't find the pleasure in trying just to match in my mouth things that are impossible. So this is what I think. I am José Andrés and I endorse this message. If you disagree with me, I love it because that's how we are going to be making this country great, by respectfully disagreeing with each other.
I already am loving this. I'm still going to ask you what foods you would eat with each wine. I'm not going to let that go. So be prepared for some tough questions, okay?
I don't expect anything less from you.
Okay, wonderful. We are going to start with sparkling wine, which I'm super excited about. And the Raventós y Blanc de Nid Rosé. Pepe, am I saying that right? Is Pepe here? Where'd Pepe go?
Pepe Raventós, where are you?
Pepe Raventós. I have been drinking Orca sparkling rosé, and it is delicious.
We lost Pepe.
Okay, but well, I'll just do a little intro. Pepe's coming back. Otherwise, Jose, you're on for drinking. Well, but you're going to have some in your glass momentarily. So I'm really excited about this wine. It is a rosé. It's coming from the Raventós family. They've been making wine for 600 years now. There have been leaders in sustainability, organics, biodynamics, the horses, going through the vineyards. And so they're in the Pinedes region, which is in Spain to the, thank God, Pepe. And I'm not doing so well explaining all of your history. 600 years of it.
I am really sorry we live here in the middle of nowhere, and I think that we have a poor connection and we're terrible with technology.
That's okay, because sometimes middle of nowhere makes the best wines. Am I right? So Pepe, yes, we all have this in our glass. We were just talking about your history because your family's been making wine 600 plus years now. Yes.
We are an extremely boring family that has been doing the same for over 500 years. Okay. My wife and I happen to represent the 21st generation in the same farm. Imagine how terrible can this be? But before this, I wanted to really share a moment with you, because more than a winemaker, I am also a wine drinker. So I thought I could open a bottle of sparkling with everybody just by saying a little tip here. Always fix the top and move the bottom, not the other way around. It's much easier by moving the bottom of the bottle.
Yeah. Gracias. That is perfect. Gosh, this is cheers. 600 years, yes, your family, but I think that you've made some changes or seen some changes these last few decades. What have those been?
I think the most important change was while learning to make wines around different parts of Europe, mainly northern France. I realized that the perfect wine doesn't exist. So really, the whole will and all the energy I focused into making the most authentic wine that comes from the place.
Yeah, and that is beautiful. And the region where you are located, tell us a little bit about the climate, the soil, the terroir there, and why it's unique.
Well, we are in Penedès, as said, and we are close to the Mediterranean. I always like to remind everybody that the beginning of winemaking is in the very eastern Mediterranean, and that when you look at a vine, at the plant from a very natural perspective, it's like an olive tree, right? It's like an almond tree. It's like what we have been growing in the Mediterranean for thousands of years. So really, this is something very important to take into account. And when you want to go to search for the place and search for authenticity, I think it's extremely important to foster minimal intervention viticulture. Mm-hmm. A viticulture where man guides but doesn't interfere too much, a viticulture where there is no chemistry, that really respects the environment and that search for the fruit itself. No? In this sense, this climate is very gifted because a vine plant likes poor soils, little rainfall, biggest pressure is humidity. Like this year we had an extremely humid year and we lost a lot of crop working eco and bio. So really sends us a message that we are in a really fortunate place to make minimal intervention, organic and biodynamic viticulture.
That's what about, and the grapes for this particular blend are Sorrello, Macabeo.
The grapes from this blend are the traditional grapes that not only belong to our area, but through generations have adapted extremely well to the area. Xarel·lo, Parellada, Macabeo, painted with a little bit of Monastrell. Monastrell, Catalan name for Mourvedre, that makes this little slight pinky color. But I like to, before talk about the grapes, just send a message of minerality. Of course, it's a very an unconcrete word, and every region has, in my opinion, to find its definition, its way, its understanding of minerality. To us, it's salinity. So for everybody that tonight has a glass of the neat with you, I like to share with you this idea of our minerality, the minerality from Penedès, from that Mediterranean shore into sparkling wine, which in a way is like salinity, low tide, iodine kind of notes. And this is because all our area is a Cameroonian limestone type of soils. It's a valley that was covered by the ocean for 3 million years. Then the ocean went back to the shore and left all the life fossilized in the stones. With a proper viticulture, you can express this salinity into the wine, even after a second fermentation in the bottle with 2 years aging on the lees. So when you like more fruity wines, there are other regions that offer fantastic and more fruit-driven sparkling wines. But in northern Penedès, in Conca del Riu Anoia, the wines are known for this salinity touch that make them fantastic, very well, open mouth, and excellent pairing with food.
Oh, that was beautiful. And this is a beautiful nose, and there is that salinity, the minerality. There's still some good, bright fruit there, but that underlying, it's about that dirt. It's about that wonderful soil.
Thank you. This vintage that we are sharing to finish with you, at home, we always vintage date every sparkling bottle. And this is extremely important. When you try to make wines from origin, always vintage date your sparkling. It's really a message of compromise and commitment to the region. So we're tasting the 17. Some people may have the 16. So just a quick message here. 16 is an extremely dry vintage that concentrated a lot of flavor and a lot of acidity into the wines. More concentrate and more robust. 17 is a very classic Penedès one, and it's really a wine of a balance and a wine more aerial that express more into the agility, into the more subtle notes.
Yeah.
And Gwendolyn, I wanted to add very quickly that for all our friends here at Wine.com that are with us tasting this wine, hopefully all of you have a glass of wine, and hopefully a glass of wine from our friends joining us today. But my good friend here, Pepe Raventós, for you to understand how much loves making the wine in his land, in his region, in Penedès, but also understanding that he needs to be connecting to the people he's trying to serve. For him, America was always a very important market, like for every winemaker in the world, but especially Spain. But he came with his family to make sure that he spent here quite some time, live like one more, and spend a lot of time with his kids, traveling around America and trying really to understand what America was all about. So when he made the wine, he could have the people of America in a way, in a mind. Quite frankly, not a lot of people do that. And for me, it was amazing that he made that kind of many trips, coming with his family and visiting different parts of America, getting to know America in a very deep way. So that was great. That's when we really met and we spent some time together. I wish we spent more time together, but it's for all our friends to know that really he did a big deal, spending a lot of time getting to know America even deeper and better. So I'm very happy he became a bridge between the Catalonia, the Spain I love, and the America also, as everybody know, I love too. So
yeah, this is a beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. You have this connection to America, but the authenticity is so clear from where you're from. So thank you for making something so beautiful. And
thank you, Gwendolyn and Jose. If I may just add one little thing here. By living in America, I learned that you don't hate the players, you change the game. That's something that you taught me. So in 2012, I decided to declassify from the DO that my family created Cava. And I am working to create a new appellation, con Cadanoia, that hopefully we will see one day, really based on viticulture, on terroir, on origin, and a lot of aspects that now I don't want to bore everybody. So thank you for saying this. Yeah.
That is exciting. I've learned a little bit more about that. I think that's very exciting, that focus on the quality and the terroir and what you're doing. So congratulations. It's beautiful. Jose, I warned you, I want to know what you would pair with this if you were eating and drinking at the same time.
So, you know, we see these very, I will say, crystalline aromas, light citrus. At least is what I see. If Pepe disagrees with me, shut up, Pepe. Don't disagree with me in public, please. But obviously, this is nice, light color. Obviously, you can see there I see almost like red flowers in a very strange way. So what I would say, a wine like this, a cava like this, right now, right here, I would love it with a very nice, this is very Catalan, is what we will say an arroz negra, will be a black ink squid rice. You don't understand how well the salinity, the savory of the ink of the squid, hold on, in a very delicate way, how much will kind of bring up even the flavors further and vice versa. And I said at the very beginning, I'm not a big fan of pairing in long tasting menus, but when you do one particular flavor, one particular dish, then I'm game. This is a very traditional dish in Catalonia, and everybody should learn how to make it, or you should just get on a plane as soon as we can all do that safely and land in Barcelona and go to a place that makes this arroz negra, this black rice with squid and sometimes shrimp that will go so amazingly well with this. If we think in one ingredient, not dish, that can be multicultural, right now we have something like also is very traditional in Spain, very traditional in Catalonia, which is sea urchin, what we know in Japanese sometimes as uni. You can buy right now sea urchin from Maine. You will support the local fishermen. You will create jobs in the process. Right now is the season. And believe me, if you are able to have a sea urchin right now from Maine, because they don't export them so easily from Europe, and you open a bottle of this cava and you eat the sea urchin with this cava, I promise you, your life will change forever. You will want to marry the sea urchin. That's how good the pairing will be.
Okay, so this is one of those amazing ones, the one that's like my old boss used to say, that's the 1 + 1 = 3. It's, you know, that
You got it.
something that changes. So delicious. If
So,
I can't get sea urchin, can I just do some sushi?
now, Gwendolyn, this is very simple. I am in Maryland. You are in Virginia.
Yeah.
What you need to do is get on the car,
Okay.
drive to me, and I have sea urchin in my home in season all the time.
Okay. I'm in, because I have a couple full bottles of this. Oh, so I will.
So what are you waiting for? As soon as we finish this, boom.
Car, got it. I'm in. We're going to taste another wine that you chose, and we don't have the winemaker with us, so you're going to have to tell us all about him. So this is Bodega Raul Perez, Altrea Saint Jacques. This is Raul Perez, who's a winemaker and kind of a character that I can see from his photo. What stands out to you about Raul and what he's doing?
Listen, Raul is a great friend. Winemakers in Spain, they love each other. It's a friendly competition. Obviously, everybody wants to sell, but at the end of the day, they are very pure people. They are good people. They all share, like all winemakers in the world. But I will tell you, in Spain, winemakers overall, they are very friendly. The secret here is that Raul Perez, Álvaro Palacios, they're super good friends. I am very lucky because I consider myself, probably they will change, they will do this with their head. I consider myself very good friend of them too, and obviously including Pepe Raventós. So this wine to me is very important in many ways. This is a wine that is, many people will say, an up and coming region, because not a lot of people heard about this region. That's good. That's Bierzo.
Pretty good. How would I written, and how would I say Mencia?
Bierzo with the grape Mencia.
Bierzo and Mencia.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And so I would say that this wine, obviously, the Utrella, the Saint Jacques, I hope you can see it, and I hope some of you have. So, you know, this is in a region that really, while it's kind of coming now to be known, it's a region that's been making wine forever. Mm-hmm. I do something every other year, which I love, which is the St. James Way, El Camino de Santiago. It's a pilgrimage that actually you will find people from different places around the world and different religions, that they come to this centuries-old pilgrimage to go from different parts of France all the way to Santiago de Compostela. I still remember walking for many, many days, doing hundreds of kilometers. And one day I had to wake up very much, almost at 3-4 a.m. because the winery was 5 hours away walking from where I was starting my walk and my pilgrimage. So for me, this is a region that obviously I've been visiting more and more. Álvaro Palacios himself has also a winery there, but the wine of Raul really is amazing. This one is not Mencia, it's mostly Mencia, has other grapes, obviously, like what they call Bastardo, is what we will know as Trousseau, has Garnacha, Tintorera, and has a little bit of two white grapes like Godello and little bit of Palomino. But overall, this is a wine really that I love, that people that want used to move away from their comfort zone. And let me tell you, people, life starts at the end of your comfort zone. And you want really to discover life, even if we are all, some of us in quarantine, in our homes and not going out. Well, you go to Wine.com and right there, you can move away from your comfort zone, tasting a wine that is gonna surprise you because you're gonna love it. Even it's bringing a new whole bunch of aromas, of flavors, because Mencia, I do believe, is gonna be this new grape. It's gonna become like the new Pinot Noir in more ways that we can imagine. Mencia is gonna be a grape all of us, we're gonna be listening for the years to come.
Yeah, it is pretty. It's a pretty grape. It's a pretty wine, but it's also got character. It's just got some oomph to it, the floral and herbal and all sorts of wonderful things, but it's uplifting. And I am totally having that stitched on a pillowcase somewhere, that life starts at the end of your comfort zone. What are we eating with this?
That's the sea urchin.
That's a sea urchin. They're smaller than I thought.
This one is not live. This one is not live because I don't have, today's Tuesday, but in 2 more days, I'm having the live from Maine. But take a look at those.
That's beautiful.
All right.
So,
let's concentrate now in the wines.
Yes. But so what about this particular wine, this beautiful Mencia blend? When you're thinking of food with this kind of wine, it's outside your comfort zone, floral, herbal wine, what do you think of?
So, I think this wine is made on clay soils, mainly is in the lower, slightly lower parts of that region in a beautiful little town called Valtuí de Abajo. Is really fascinating. And you're going to say, what has to do clay with what you're going to eat? Everything. Happens that this wine does very well on that soil. But if I go through this, I see, when I did the St. James way, I am an expert on finding the wild strawberries, tiny strawberries that I know in the season where to find. And this to me has this kind of wild strawberries, tiny, deep. They bring the terroir into your mouth. I will always go to find them ahead of my wife, and my wife will put they are tiny, and you will put like 30 strawberries at once in your mouth. This is what this wine in a way is telling me. They're very, very delicate, but at the same time, very, very powerful. So with this wine, because I do believe it's very pure, it's strong but delicate in a very strange way at the same time, elegant. Is one dish that, because we are in Galicia, that they have to unite the terroir and the history of this wine with one of the most popular dishes in Galicia, which is Pulpo a la Gallega, or octopus, which is boiled. That's usually they put some potatoes in the same water of the pulpo, of the octopus. The potatoes absorb some of the flavor of the pulpo, and then you take it out of the water. You cut the octopus in thick slices, and then you put a Spanish pimenton or paprika, which is slightly smoked, some sea salt also from Galicia, and then a Spanish olive oil on top. You go with that beautiful, nice, semi-chewy kind of octopus with a slightly smokiness of the paprika, and you go drinking this wine, and again, you will say, oh my God, what I've been waiting all my life for this moment. Why? I want to marry this octopus. I want to marry this wine. We will have to find a divorce lawyer because you will want to marry with the wine and the octopus, but it's okay. They will join you, your husband or your wife. Don't worry. You can bring all of them into your family. And so it's no need of thinking on divorce in any way or form.
Okay, that sounds beautiful. And I love that because you talked about Galicia, which I know is I think of white wines and crisp white wines. It's wonderful that there's such a beautiful red wine coming from this region and Bierzo and Mencia. I'm getting there. Okay, gracias. So beautiful, thank you. We are going to go to the next wine from Álvaro Palacios.
Palacios.
Thank you. Gracias. Okay. Camins del Priorat. So Álvaro, first, thank you so much for being here. You know, I don't know how long ago it was, but you were kind of given the label, I think, of being the new Spain. But it's been a while since that you got that label, and I feel like now it's just that's part of Spain and Spanish wine. But as someone who is always innovating and discovering, what do you see as the next frontier for Spain? Is there anything that stands out to you?
Well, hello everyone, Gwendolyn, all the people watching us tonight, this afternoon, tonight here in Spain. Spain right now, which is offering is something enormous, because during the last 3 or 4 decades, it has been a non-stop reawakening regions, all regions of wine, with a tremendous deep culture behind, of centuries and centuries of history. So, and with all those varieties perfectly adapted to every natural environment, with all these skills of tradition going through for ages. So right now, most of them, they are offering great wines. And I see the world, first of all, the opinion leaders, really getting the last 2-3 years absolutely impressed about what they are receiving every year. Different varieties, different areas, no matter where, because just 40 years ago, we were thinking about Rioja or Penedès or Jerez, of course, Sherry, and then Ribera del Duero. But now there is like 65 regions with apelación, with denominación de origen, no? Apelación de origine, or whatever say in English. So many of them, they are really offering a bright, extraordinary, mysterious and magical wines, which is at the end the summit of quality. No? So this is what Spain is offering right now, after being wherever in this transition, no, since the last 4 years.
So you think that the last 4 years, and as I don't know, when you think of New Spain, I think somebody who was coming in today was kind of defining, how do you define your style and maybe how that differed from that traditional style?
What is happening right now too is that Spain, yes, 40, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, 20, everybody was trying to do something new, very new, because I think we had plenty of, how can I say, complex, no? Among the past. The past was a bit, I shouldn't say obscure, but at least it was a kind of a isolation, no? During several decades, because 20th century in Spain was hard, especially for the agricultural aspects. So we had this kind of a complex, and we were trying to do new things and new ways of vinification. But right now, everything is about going back to the future. No? We finally learned and understood that we're in a very old world wine country, and everything was set. So where our older brothers or parents were saying, well, everything, or customers still saying sometimes that there was no good tasters before, there was no good drinkers, there was no good wines before. That's because the 20th century was very dark, it was very poor, it was very declined. But everything was said before, because we're not talking about the 20th century or the middle of the 20th century, we're talking about centuries of things behind. So what we have is a very precise viticulture. When we are making wine from those very old vines, because we have plenty of, still, thanks God, we're still having old vines to work with. But I don't mean 25 years old, I'm talking about from 50 to 110 or 20 years. So where you really see the reflection of the wisdom in English, wisdom.
Yes.
We really see the wisdom of the times, working for different generations and generations. You see all that precise way of doing viticulture with the precise grape varieties, to work with. So we are now in that mood. Most of the young producers, and I think it's the trend, this is going to be the trend, it's a trend from the last maybe only 5, 7, 10 years, but now becoming more and more intense, that even the big companies are always almost thinking of that too. So finally rescue our own pride and also, well, show off these personalities, these characteristics of every wine region, every village, every landscape, every how can I say, lieu dit or whatever, paraje.
Lieu dit, terroir.
Terreno.
Well, I think that we're drinking a Priorat, which is this beautiful, unique, kind of extreme wine growing region that I think defines a little bit of what you were just saying, is you have that specific grape variety in this unique terroir. So if we could taste the wine, maybe you could talk a little bit about that soil, that region, the wonderful mix of grape and place.
See, we in Priorat is now 30. I'm from Rioja, but I am almost half Catalan, half from Priorat, because it's already right now it's 31 years in Priorat myself, since 1989 when I arrived there. I was very young, well, this region has given me everything, because it's a very powerful wine region. It's first of all, it's a very mystic, very spiritual area. Priorat means priory, so it means that it was a dominion of the monastery of Escalade, where the prior monk was the owner of the whole land. Then colonizers came from, we should say, in the 12th, 13th, 14th century, came to work in these vineyards, but the vineyards were always belonged to the monastery of Escalade. So that's the name of Priorat. That is why it's a Priorat. It's not a very big area. It used to be 15,000 hectares, but today there is only about 2,100 hectares left, because it's a very, very rough, difficult place. You saw the pictures.
It's close to the coast. Maybe we can see where it is again, and then some of those steep vineyards we have an image of.
And then, well, anyway, steep slopes in the Mediterranean climate, because very close to the sea. Is a place which is very luminous, like Penedès, like Barcelona, luminous area, because it's not only because it's Mediterranean, but also the sea is so close that makes like a mirror. It radiates the light of the sun to the interior. And then it's also quite tough in terms of rain average. There is not much rain average. And then these poor soils of slate, schist is technically speaking, schist from the Carboniferous period, which is very poor in organic matter. So that's why the wines are very rich. They have a lot of energy. They have a lot of concentrations in matter, and also in a kind of spiritual aspect. So, but it's a place that wine has been made from many centuries behind us, and it's a place of wine, historically speaking. Then all this energy and all this concentration, and even all these high sugar levels that we can find, at the end, they could be all perfectly balanced, because the soil at the end has a beautiful pH that brings high acidity to the wines. And then the minerality of this schist also brings a kind of a grip to the wine, the texture, that at the end the wine is concentrated, but you can find a beautiful velvety texture with a liveliness brought by the acidity. So then the grape, normally Garnacha for me is the queen variety there, historically speaking, but also we have Cariñena, which is the other sister, that depending in the history, if the economy was going in a decline times, Garnacha was going down and Cariñena up, because Garnacha, the old clones of Garnacha, they are very, very dramatic in terms of yield. Sometimes you only produce 1/3 of the total production. So that's why when economy was wrong, was going no good, there was more Cariñena. So that's why in this 20th century, you can find more Cariñena in Priorat than Garnacha. But Garnacha is that which really makes the most brilliant, magical wines, radiant and fresh and lively and wow, incredibly touching. So this blend, which is my introduction wine because I have like 6 different wines. This is the most, the higher production is the introduction wine, and it's a regional appellation wine. It's Priorat. Grapes comes from 8 villages. There is 10 villages in Priorat. So this is from grapes coming from 8 villages. And well, it's a charming reflection of the area because we have all this energy, all this strength, but also the balance and the silkiness, velvetiness, and the freshness and the beauty and beautiful equilibrated. By the other hand, this Camins is the most cosmopolitan wine I make in Priorat. In Priorat, you can find also some Cabernet Sauvignon and some Syrah. So also we have some hints of these grapes in this wine. We have Garnacha, we have Carignana, but also Cabernet and Syrah. So that's what I call cosmopolitan or international. We have all these grapes that at the end brings flavors that we can more or less know and we are familiar with, especially in international blends, no, today. So that's what I say, no? So it's a beautiful, approachable beauty with this cosmopolitan, exotic character. No?
It is. It's approachable now, which is lovely. And I know that you have the terrace. Am I saying it? Which I know very well. Terraces. Which I think has a little bit, has that more of that punch and some structure related. But this is beautiful.
This is my other regional blend, but it's Garnacha and Carignana. It's very classic blend, very classic flavors, classic Priorat. And then we have the village, Gratajobs, and then we have the viñedos in the different viñas clasificadas, which is like a cru classé, because we have organized in Priorat a clasificación, like in the European context.
So Gwendolyn, who was going to say that a wine tasting can also become a Spanish class? It's unbelievable what you can do at Wine.com. I mean, give me a break, people of America. You can drink wine, and in the process, you can go to your family and say, I was not actually drinking. I was actually going through a language class. I mean, this is brilliant.
Palacia, Yurko, Mencia, Palacios.
I mean,
Palacios. Okay.
It's unbelievable. All part of the same package, people. I mean, actually, you should never say, I am about to be going to a wine tasting. You should be telling your people, I'm going to language class. I mean, it looks so much more sophisticated because, you're going drinking? No. I'm in the education business.
Geography.
Thank you.
Geography and language. That is my
give me a break.
So Priorat, Jose.
You froze.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you froze too. But Priorat.
Well, I've been drinking, so it's normal that we start freezing a little bit. I mean,
we could play a game of freeze dance later. So we'll
Gwendolyn, if you allow me, so you're gonna ask me about what I will eat with this.
If you choose to, you might just choose to drink it.
Okay. I know in this call we have amazing people. We are about to go to election time. So let's do one thing that is with the people. In my restaurant, Jaleo, I opened in 1993. And I will recommend one dish that has everything to do with the America we all love. It's a dish that is very traditional in Catalonia. I believe this wine will go very well with grilled meats. In Catalonia, you can go to places that they serve you grilled rabbit, conill. That is amazing. That will be served, the rabbit, with an alioli sauce. But I will do a grilled meat, but something like everybody will love, which will be a pork sausage. The thick sausages. Here we know them as Italian sausages, but everybody knows that the Italians stole that idea from us. So we know, to the Italians on the call, we still love you, people. We need you. We love you. I mean, we love your mozzarella and your products, but let's face it. In Catalonia, they make this amazing pork sausage that you will go to a lot of places around Catalonia, like Priorat, and they will grill it. And they will serve them with a tiny bean, a small white bean, which is called Mongetes del Ganchet. I'm not gonna even try to spell it for you. We will send the information and you send the email to all your people. This is a tiny bean. It's tasty, it's amazing, will change your life forever. But we serve the beans sauté on the fat that the sausage releases. So we serve the butifarra with those beans. So the dish is called butifarra with mongetes del ganchet. Why this has everything to do with the election season? Because when I opened in 1993, the first person two people I met, which they became very good supporters. One was a Democrat and one was a Republican. And both respected each other to levels you will not imagine. And both loved that dish of butifarra and mongetas. One was Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who became a good friend. Well, he will come every Sunday and he will always drink a Spanish wine from Rioja, Muga, especially the white one. And he will have that dish, that Catalan dish, right at the bar. And the other senator was Senator from Tennessee, Fred Thompson, who he arrived to Washington to become senator in 1994. And he will come also to Jaleo, and he will always sit on the same table, and he will always order the same dish. Few times, both of them, obviously beyond the Senate, they kind of happened to be in Jaleo at the same time, and they were respectful to each other. I don't think they were best friends, but in the sense of it's a lot of senators and a lot of congressmen. But there is the moment I saw that, yes, senators, congressmen, doesn't matter who you are. At the end, we are all the same. We, the people, enjoying good wine, enjoying good food, respecting each other. In this election time, I wanted to share that dish that in my Spanish restaurant, with the Spanish wines, these two senators will love exactly the same dish. And to me, I think this is a very kind of fun, real story of times we all love, we all won, and we all endorse. So this is the dish I'm recommending. The sausage, butifarra, and mongetas.
José Andrés for president.
Me. And I moved up here in '94 as well, and Jaleo was one of the first restaurants. My father's office was above it, so
Wow.
Those were good times. Yes, lovely. So thank you. I also do want to talk, of course, with you, Jose, a little bit about World Central Kitchen. I think it's more important now than ever what you're doing, and if you could just speak just a little bit about just that catalyst, that motivation for when you first began, because it was DC Kitchen before it was World Central Kitchen, right? What drew you to starting something like this?
I'm gonna try to go deep. Many people know by now World Central Kitchen, but the beginning was DC Central Kitchen. I was a young boy. I was 23 when I arrived to Washington, DC. I arrived to America first time when I was on the Spanish Navy as a sailor. I still remembering coming to New York Harbor. And before we went to shore, the ship anchored right on the harbor. I still remember seeing Lady Liberty. I still remember seeing Ellis Island and reading about the meaning of those two places. The ship was amazing. Was the training ship for the midshipmen, for mast. And imagine sailing around the world. When I came to America, it was spectacular for me because that night, as we were waiting to go down to Manhattan, I looked at the sky and was the beautiful night full of stars. I didn't know any better. I was 20 years old at the time, 19. And I thought that the night stars equal the beautiful stars on the American flag where everything was possible. When I was able to come back as an immigrant to America, when I finished my military service, I came to New York, but very quickly I moved to Washington, DC. I went to this organization, DC Central Kitchen, a place that believed that the power of food could improve the life of fellow Americans. We believed that food waste was wrong, but more important, wasting the lives of people was even worse. So imagine when Robert Egger, the founder, my mentor, a good friend, brought both together. He began training people that were in jail or in the streets, gave them a place to belong, bringing food was about to be wasted, putting them together, training people, finding them jobs in restaurants like mine, and making sure that people that needed to be fed were fed. This was brilliant in so many ways. Actually, because we are in election season, was one of the first ever outside the Senate hunger caucus at the organization. For me as a young boy, it was powerful to see senators of both parties coming together to believe that if they work together, they can end all the problems that we face in America and around the world. And I still to this day believe in this. Why World Central Kitchen? Because I wanted, as an immigrant, that even I didn't have my citizenship, I always believed I already was an American because I was given so much. I had 3 American daughters. I thought we need to be helping other people because I want America to do well. And for America to do well, we need to make sure that the countries surrounding America do well as well. And I know overall America believes in that simple idea. When Haiti happened, I went there to learn. And I began learning how we could help as a cook in emergencies. Today, World Central Kitchen is in many countries around the world. Haiti was the beginning, but in this COVID season, we've done almost 40 million meals. We are gonna reach 50 by the end of the year. We've been in every hurricane, in every fire. We've been in every explosion like Lebanon, Beirut. We've been in places like Bahamas, Indonesia, Mozambique, other places. We believe that we should show up to support fellow Americans, Republicans, Independents, or Democrats. We are all Americans, we the people. And right now, it gives me a lot of kind of humble pleasure to say that my profession, our profession, the food, the wine, the people that feed America and the world, we are here not only to feed the few, but to feed the many. I know I gave you a long answer, but this is why World Central Kitchen exists, to be next to fellow Americans in moments of need. I'm very proud that my profession, the restaurant industry, the wine industry, the sommeliers, the winemakers, the cooks, the chefs, the managers, all the people that make food possible, wine possible, we've not stayed behind. We've been at the forefront of making sure that one plate of food at a time, we could hope of a better tomorrow.
And
good.
And yes, cheers to that. I appreciate the long answer because it's hard to feel inspired a lot these days, and I feel inspired now. So so I appreciate that. Yes, here. To feeling inspired to be better, to give food that a human right for people. To people.
Yeah.
So
can I say one more thing, Gwendolyn? Number one, your last name, Osborne, obviously couldn't be a better last name for you hosting all of us winemakers and chefs from Spain. Osborne. Give me a break. That's such a Spanish brand, and I love it. And I want to say one more thing. That yes, we're drinking wine, and yes, we all have favorite wines, and yes, we're in the middle of a political season. And the fun part is that we all need to remember that the people that don't think like us are not our enemy, but are the people that are enriching us, that respecting each other, listening to each other, learning from people with funny accents, faraway places, people that look different than us, but at the end we all share the same thing: family, respect, our communities. That at the end, that's what I do believe America celebrates. We, the people, embracing each other and understanding that I have a lot of good friends that don't think like me, but they are my best friends because they enrich me and I try to enrich back their lives. That's the America I love. That's the America I belong, and that's the America that I know all America wants. So I raise my glass to you.
That's the word we need. That's the word we need.
Everybody should share their story. Everybody has a story, and we should be listening. So thank you. Oh my goodness. Yes, cheers. So grateful. I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here, and grateful for your efforts for World Central Kitchen, of course, but also your passion for making great wine and being part of the place that you're from, but also sharing your story, because as you mentioned, it is about stories. So gracias.
Cheers.
So people, only two options. You drink wines from America, because every winemaker in America needs you to support their wines, or you drink wines from Spain. Everything else, I'm sorry, has to wait. So open a good American bottle of wine, open a good wine from Virginia, which they're rocking. Gwendolyn is in Virginia, like my friend RDB and so many others, Linden. Open wines from California, open wines from every region in America you really want to support, and open a bottle of Spanish wine next to it and compare them. They're not in competition. They're actually bringing you and sharing with you centuries of tradition, centuries of winemaking, the terroir. This is an amazing way to understand that even wine can be building bridges in powerful ways. Let's build a bridge. We need bridges more than ever.
Cheers to that. Gracias to you all.
Thank you.
Bueno, Pepe.
Alvarito.
It's both a science and a form of high art. It's made from the combination of grapes, sunlight, rain, soil, and time. It's raised up in the moments that matter. It's wine. And we are Wine.com. We have the largest wine selection in the world, online sommeliers with free advice, and now our powerful new app puts the entire world of wine in your hands. Wine.com. Seriously passionate about wine. Download our free app today.